Somebody say
Slave.
Hello and welcome to Kenough News. I am Abby. This is my co-anchor,
Kevin Sandoval.
and this is my other co-anchor, Okay. Anyways, this story that we are going to talk about today was sent in by one of our viewers. The story is called Chrysanthemums.
got me jumping like
The story was very yearning. That's how I was feeling, at least.
I agree.
Me too.
In the way that this woman that the story was about, Ayesha, she was yearning for this more attention from her husband and this better relationship in general. Okay? And we'll talk more about that with some examples later on. Next up, we're going to talk about some symbols that we noticed in the story.
Okay. So the first symbol is the chrysanthemum, which is how Ayesha sees her femininity, but in her flowers, because she loves her flowers. They are the only thing that she feels confidence in.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, she puts all her
I always feel
confidence.
confident. But not Ayesha, I guess. Anywho.
I can't. Get out.
So the next symbol that we noticed was some gloves that she wore, which she feels old and manly and grimy when she wears these gloves, because it is protecting her femininity that she does not like to show.
So there's a couple of examples of that illustrates how she feels and how these gloves symbolize her becoming a different person. And when she wears the gloves, she is more that masculine self who isn't confident. But when she takes them off is when she starts talking to this steel worker, and he gives her this confidence. So Kayla, why don't you read us a couple of the examples here?
Ayesha ran excitedly along the geranium bordered path to the back of the house. She returned carrying a big red flower pot. The gloves were forgotten now.
In that quote, she's saying, like, this is when she was going to get the flower pot for the steel worker that she was talking to, and she was just getting so excited and so confident, and she took off those gloves, and the way she's taking off that old personality and feeling so great.
So the next quote, Ayesha straightened her back and pulled on the gardening glove again. This was because, as the fan sent in, her husband had come back and she was trying to,
and it's her losing that confidence that she had gained. And when she puts her gloves on, that means she's just not feeling that feminine self anymore, and she's just back to that old boring self.
she's trying to hide her femininity using manly gloves.
Another symbol.
everybody look to the left. Everybody look to the right.
Another symbol we can talk about are the scissors.
Starships were meant to fly. Hands up.
They symbolize the tinker and the attraction that Ayesha has for him.
Right now, Kevin's gonna read a quote to support that symbol. Go.
She was cutting down the old year's chrysanthemum stalks with a pair of short and powerful scissors.
This is symbolizing and showing how she is cutting down her old self and her lack of confidence with the scissors.
I came in like a wrecking ball. I never hit so hard.
The next quote to bring up is the pumice. Pumice is apparently this block that you use to like scrub the hard parts of your feet and like your body with to get that dead skin, you know? Okay, so the reason why it's one of the symbols is it's the way in this quote here, I'll read it to you. And then she scrubbed herself with a little block of pumice, legs and thighs, loins and chest and arms until her skin was scratched red. Damn.
I let all that get to my head. I don't care, I paint the town red.
The reason why this is significant is because the pumice washes away her elderly self and it's a rejuvenation of her femininity and her just starting to feel confident after she had this interaction with the tinker, okay?
The last symbol is the flower pot. Which inside is her flowers, the chrysanthemums, which represent her femininity and vulnerability. The outside, the actual flower pot itself, is the woman that she sees herself as, which is manly and strong and just how she feels on the outside. And we have a quote that Ayesha said herself that has to do with this. An example. He might have thrown them off the road. That wouldn't have been much trouble, not very much, but he kept the pot. So he threw away her femininity, her confidence, and this newfound feelings that she had, but he kept her old self and her boring self, how others see her.
Now we're going to talk about some of the feelings that were going on between the tinker and Ayesha. Okay, so one quote that was said was, kneeling there, her hand went down towards his leg in the greasy black trousers.
She wants to get some.
Her hesitant fingers touched the cloth, then her hand dropped down to the ground. She crouched like a fawning dog. Like, tell me that's not sexual tension, right?
She's such a slut.
It makes you think, you can feel that maybe he might not even be that attractive. It might just be she likes the attention because her husband don't give it to her. To the beginning of the story too, because this is towards the end that happened, but the beginning, when the man first came, Ayesha didn't even like him. She wanted him to get out of there because he was just trying to get her business. But then, as soon as he asks about these chrysanthemums, her quote, the irritation and resistance melted from her face. Okay? So she was saying, no, get out of here. And then he asked about those chrysanthemums, and immediately, then she's like, oh.
Immediately, her legs spread wide open.
Okay, and the last quote that we are going to be talking about before we wrap it all up is, she turned her coat collar so he could not see that she was crying weakly like an old woman. This quote is important because at the end, when she finds out that he dumps her flowers out and keeps the pot, she doesn't feel her strong and powerful self, but she also does not feel her femininity. So in the end, he had ripped everything from her.
In conclusion, the theme of this was that Ayesha lacks confidence and femininity from the absence of her husband's support romantically and emotionally. All marriages are unique, but all marriages overcome when both parties give their all.
Wow.
And clearly, her husband wasn't giving her all. That's why she was such a slut for the tinker.
Yep.
Exactly. Alrighty. Well, thank you guys for listening to the Kenough News.
Woo! Don't forget to subscribe.
Yes.
We
And-
will see you
Next time.
Bye.
Bye.
Oh.